Some people speak, but their voice disappears. It drifts through the air like dust through sunlight. It touches nothing. It moves no one. They try harder. They raise their volume. They explain. They justify. Still, nothing. Because it was never about being loud. It was about being present. The Stoics knew this. They understood something modern minds forgot, that power doesn't come from force, but from stillness. And when a man speaks from stillness, his voice cuts deeper than any scream. The world listens to those who no longer need to be heard. They don't chase attention. They don't decorate their sentences. They just speak. And the silence around them does the rest. This isn't about charisma. It's not about tips, tricks, or communication hacks. This is about weight, and the invisible laws that make one voice feel like gravity, and another vanish like wind. You don't learn this in school. You remember it in suffering. You earn it through restraint. There are 7 quiet forces that give a voice power. They won't make you louder. They'll make you unignorable. Not because you speak to be heard, but because you've learned to carry silence like a sword. Let's begin. You don't need to speak loud. Some shout, but no one listens. They speak in waves, but leave no ripple. Because volume means nothing without depth. Now watch him. He walks in quiet. Doesn't rush, doesn't try. He barely speaks. Yet the room bends toward him like iron to a field. What's the difference? He doesn't speak to prove. He speaks to reveal, and only when needed. His voice doesn't demand attention. It commands stillness. No decoration, no performance, just wait. Because when a voice rises from a place that's already whole, people stop, not to reply, but to receive. The most powerful voices don't echo. They absorb. They don't compete. Set your boundaries in her. If you never draw the line, they will keep stepping over it. Not because they're cruel, but because you never marked where they couldn't go. You say yes, when everything inside you says no. You answer messages at midnight. Even when you're drained, you give your time to people who wouldn't bleed a second for you, and they thank you with expectation, not with respect, because kindness without boundaries is not kindness, it's self-abandonment. You think silence is peace? It's not. It's a signal. And if that silence never says no, it gets mistaken for yes. The Stoic is not passive. He is precise. He chooses what to carry and what to cut. He doesn't explain, he doesn't justify, he just draws the line and lets the world reorganize around it. No is a complete sentence, and the moment you speak it, you feel something shift, not in them, in you. It's not about pushing people away, it's about keeping yourself in. Because when you protect your time protects your peace. And peace is the soil for every powerful word you will ever speak. The man who cannot hold a boundary cannot hold respect, from others or from himself. Say less, hold more, be the wall, not the open door. Master the pause. Most people fear silence, more than being wrong, so they fill it with noise, with words, with explanations no one asked for. But every time you rush to speak, you weaken your voice. The Stoic waits, not because he's slow, but because he listens. He speaks only when the silence has sharpened the point. Power doesn't come from saying more, it comes from what you hold back. The pause is not absence, it's amplitude. When you drop a sentence into silence, it lands with force. One sentence, breathe, another sentence, drop, let it burn. The world will try to rush you. That's fine. Let it. You are not here to keep up. You are here to cut through. When they interrupt, pause. When they get louder, go quieter. When they expect reaction, give them stillness. Because when you pause, you take control of the rhythm, of the moment, of your mind, and a man in control of his rhythm cannot be dragged into noise. Speak with space. Speak with shape. Speak only when the weight is worth the drop. Use humor without losing respect. Humor is power. Until it becomes escape, you make a joke. People laugh, so you make another, and another, until they laugh at everything, including you. There's a line. Cross it, and you turn from a presence into a punchline. The Stoic doesn't reject humor. He just wields it like a blade, Sharp, rare, intentional. A joke at the right moment can cut tension like steel. But a joke at the wrong moment can slice your credibility clean in half. You think being funny makes you likable. Maybe it does. But being likable is not the same as being respected. Don't laugh at yourself just to make others comfortable. You're not a clown. You're a wall. You're a mountain. You're a man who knows when to be still and when to strike. The Stoic speaks with humor only when it serves, not when it hides fear, not when it fills air, not when it begs for approval. A joke is a tool, not a mask. Drop one when it matters, then fall silent. Let the pause say, I could speak more, but I won't. That's what earns the room. Because when your humor is disciplined, it doesn't make you soft, it makes you dangerous. Don't speak of the absent. The moment you speak of someone who isn't there, you say more about you than about them. Gossip feels easy, harmless, even righteous. But it's decay of character, of trust, of respect. The Stoic does not gossip, not because he's polite, but because he's clean. He doesn't waste voice on what's not present. He doesn't cut others to feel taller. He doesn't burn someone's name just to warm a shallow room. Because he knows, anyone who gossips to you will one day gossip about you. And the man who keeps silent when it's easy to speak commands a different kind of trust. People sense it, the restraint, the sharpness, the self-respect. They know you're not for sale. You don't trade in whispers. You don't trade your dignity for laughs, likes, or low attention. Your words hold weight because they don't come cheap. So when they bait you, stay still. When they nudge, say nothing. When they pry, let the silence speak. I don't deal in what's not mine. And that is how a man becomes untouchable. Know when to stop talking. Some speak until their voice disappears. They had impact, then they chased it and lost it. Because words are like arrows. They only land if you don't keep shooting. The Stoic knows the most powerful thing he can say is nothing. He makes his point, then lets it stand. He doesn't repeat, doesn't explain, doesn't fill silence just to feel safe, because he is safe in himself, in his presence, in his enoughness. The insecure man overtalks. He fears being misunderstood, so he buries his truth under 20 more sentences. But the Stoic? He trusts the drop. He says it once, clean, sharp, and then he shuts the door. If they don't get it, they weren't meant to. If they push back, let them wrestle the silence. If they wait for more, let them feel the void. That's how you hold power. You leave before your words do. Because when you stop talking at the right moment, they don't forget what you said. They replay it. Respect is not something you ask for. It's something you embody. Not by speaking louder, but by speaking less. Not by pleasing, but by pausing. Not by proving, but by holding. You don't earn it by showing them who you are. You earn it by showing them what you won't be. You won't be walked on. You won't be rushed. You won't shrink yourself to fit into noise. And that begins in silence. These 7 shifts, they're not tricks, they're not tips, they're boundaries. Etched into voice, etched into breath, etched into the man you choose to be when no one's watching. Let the world shout, you just stand. And when you do speak, let the words feel like stone. Carve them, drop them. Leave them hanging like truth without apology. That's how you're heard. That's how you're respected. And most of all, that's how you start respecting yourself.